Good day, everyone. I hope you're having an amazing day. So today I'm going to talk about Shield platform encryption. So this is a theory lecture, and in the next episode I will do the hands-on. So I just wanted to explain you what encryption is all about, the importance of Shield platform encryption, and the components that's involved behind the scene. Right? Just to get the context. I just wanted to cover this in a form of a theory this time, right? So you might have heard about encryption, right? I mean, encryption of any kind, right? It could be a password encryption, could be a data encryption, and you might wonder what the heck encryption is all about, right? So let me give you a simple example, right? So you log into any site, right? Let's say you log into Facebook. So you enter your username and password, right? And so when you enter your password, you often see that your username is visible, but your password is kind of in a form of dot dot dot, right? So and that password often gets stored in a database in a form of encrypted key, right? It's not in a form of a textual form that gets stored. It's often stored in a form of a kind of a jargon, so that who are trying to use it, they fails to understand what the heck this information is all about. So that's in nutshell, encryption is about. So, or in other words, you can say for instance, I have the word, say, text. Okay, so let's say you have this word text. Now, this word is human readable word, right? You can read text or understand English, right? Now, imagine if this word gets converted into, say, um, um, alpha, gamma, you know, and whatever the one, two, three, right? Now, if you, if someone reads this information, right, they were like, "What is this information is about?" Right? It doesn't make any sense. So this is kind of a encoded information. So we have a concept called encoding and as well as the decoding. Encoding means you encode your text to make it look encrypted, or not make it look, to encrypt it, right? And then you decode it. So let me give you a very simple example here. So this is the Salesforce crypto class what we have, where we are actually encrypting, a data, right? So encrypting a text. So look at the first three lines, right? So you're creating a key. So key, I will tell you in a minute what key is about, and then you have the value of the text which needs to be encrypted, which is in the form of a blob, and then you use this crypto function which encrypts it. Okay, and this is the encryption AES1 28, which you normally use to encrypt it, right? So, which is in simple terms, AES means Advanced Encryption Standard. Okay, so this is here I've used 128-bit Advanced Encryption Standard. So, if this sounds pretty jargonish, don't worry about it. Just for the sake of the context, stay with me. I'll just make it a little bit more easier. So what we're doing here, I have a text, okay, data to be encrypted in simple terms, right? I want this text to be encrypted, right? So if you're going using a code route, right, you can use this, create a key. So key is like, think about a key in the form of, say, for instance, you have a safe box, right, where you, or a vault, yeah, where you keep your money, your secret documents, your maps and whatever, right? And you normally use the key to open that vault and close the vault, right? Imagine a physical vault, right? I'm not talking about a digital vault. I'm not talking about the cryptocurrency stuff. I'm just thinking about an old-fashioned vault, right? A safe box where you use a key, a master key, to open it and take the data and put it back, right? So that's pretty much the keys here, right? So this is what the key is about in encryption. So you're using that key, right, to close your safe box. In our case, we are using that key to encrypt the data here, which is the data to be encrypted, okay? And you use the inbuilt Salesforce function method to create an encrypted text. Okay, now your text is encrypted. Now if you wanted to access the data, like think about like a safe box, right? Your data is stored safe and secure. It's stored secure in a secure way in your safe box, right? Now if you wanted to access the data back, you need to use the key, right? So that's where the key comes in the picture, and you know, encrypt the data, you pass your safe box, and then you use the same encryption technique you used, right? And 128-bit in this case, and you get the decrypted key, right? So this is in a nutshell, you know, how you can do behind the scene if you wanted to do using a code. Okay, so why I'm telling you this, because this is exactly one of the information you should know when we're dealing with you know, shield platform encryption. Okay, because the sorry about that, because the shield platform encryption, you know, it's not always needed, right? It's case by case, right? Just because the Salesforce gives you that option doesn't mean that it is mandatory for you to use it. Okay, so that's something I will come back to it. Okay, now now you might ask, right, in the Salesforce space. Okay, now I'm dealing with the Salesforce space. Let's go back to the Jamboard here. So what kind of data you can encrypt in Salesforce? Okay, you can encrypt your, you know, phone numbers, right? I'll mark as an acronym abbreviation. Then you can encrypt your dates, right? Then you can encrypt the name of a person, right? And then you encrypt your image, you know, the graphic stuff, right? You know, you just name it, right? Anything that is you know, that you can store in the Salesforce, you can encrypt it. So the Shield platform encryption, right? It encrypts your data at rest. Now you must be wondering, what is the terminology called rest? You know, why I'm using the terminology rest? What is this? It's all about, because when I heard first time, right, back in the days, right, I used to wonder what the heck is rest means, right? So it means that we can encrypt when it's being stored within the Salesforce, right? Whatever data gets stored in the Salesforce, you can encrypt it. That's in a nutshell which you mean encrypt at rest. Okay. Now the question you should ask, right? Now, why should I encrypt my data, right? So, you know, obviously you might. It's a very good question, right? Why should you encrypt the data, right? When Salesforce gives you a lot of other, you know, options, right? Say for instance, you can actually, you know, say for instance, this is your account object, okay, and you have a lot of fields, and name, you know, description, you know, status, you know, all of the custom field, okay. So now you can use the field level security to hide it based on a profile, right? Which is pretty straightforward, right? You can do out of box functionality. Now you must be wondering, why do I have to encrypt it, right? When another user who logs in, you know, won't even able to see the data at first place. Well, that depends on your, you know, company requirement. When it depends on the regulation, right? So for instance, some of the government firms, right, they want certain data to be encrypted, right? It's a compliance issue, right? It's not, there's no hard and fast rule, right? It's not a black and white thing. Okay, if you are working for a government firm, then, you know, certain fields should be encrypted. That's not the case. It depends on the regulation, right? Sometimes you know, say for instance, if your company stores credit card information, right, in a custom object, just for the sake of our argument, you saw the credit card info. This is a credit card number. Sometimes, you know, social security number. You know, maybe in the United States they might have law. I don't know. I don't live in the United States, but just for the sake of argument, say the social security number. In New Zealand we have NHI number, the health number. I mean, let's say by law, by requirement, you have to encrypt it, right? So in that case, right, encryption of these specific fields become mandatory, right? So that's one of the reason why, you know, platform shield encryption could be very important, right? It's just like you know, an extra layer of security, but you know, so that you adhere to the compliance, right? So that's you know, that's one of the main reasons why you can go for, you know, shield platform encryption, right? Now, when you're dealing with the shield platform encryption, there are three things you have to keep into consideration, and I'll mark it here. and that is the keys, right? Uh, my handwriting is terrible. My apologies for that. Then you have tenant secrets, and you'll be excited to know how the master and another one, which is very cool stuff. What Salesforce does behind the scene. It's like a if you're a fan of a James Bond movie, so you can relate something when I'm gonna talk about master secrets. So Salesforce does in a pretty cool way. Okay, now keys, right? What is a key? I talked about key in a few minutes ago, right? So you have a safe box. You wanted to put your secret stuff inside the safe box. Could be your map document. If you're an archaeologist, you found some secret information you wanted to store there, or if you're if you're a microbiologist, you're working on a new version of a protein, right, synthesis or whatever, right, and you wanted to store that information in a safe box. Or if you're neuroscientist, you found a new research around the neuron activity, where you can do change around consciousness or whatever nonsense, right? So you can store that inside the safe box, right? And you use the key to unlock and lock it, right? So it's similar like an encryption. So that's where the keys works together. Keys is important. Now, what is the importance of the tenant secret and the master secret, right? So I wanted to give you, Salesforce has given a very good example, right? So you go to a bank, right? So you go to bank to collect information which gets stored in your safety box, right? So the first step, you go to bank and you go to the counter and say, look, I wanted to access my safety box and I got a key. And the first question they ask, do you have an ID with you, right? Just a simple scenario. And so you show your ID and then say, okay, come with me. They ask you to scan your fingerprints or retina scan based on which bank you go, right? And which part of the world you visit, right? So let's say you have to go through the retina scan, right? That's a second level of security. And then once you clear that, you pass in, they allow you to go into the safety box, right? Place where you can access your box using a key. So the master secret and tenant secret, they are the keys for your key, right? It just adds an extra layer of security to your keys, right? Now, one thing you have to understand, right? Your master secrets are generated, 3 times a year with every Salesforce release. Okay, now this is where the James Bond things comes in picture, right? So what they do, Salesforce, right? They this master secret, right? This is created by something called HSM, right? Which is a hardware security module, which is specially designed for creating strong and secure cryptographic keys, right? Now this HSM, right? It's normally on a USB stick, okay, and that gets stored in a safety deposit in a bank, right? So this master key, like HSM, right, which is they store it in a USB and then go to the bank and in a safety deposit vault wherever they store it. And now during each release, right? So Salesforce have 3 releases a year, right? Only a authorized Salesforce security officer can access this HSM stored in a safety deposit box, and then they use this HSM to generate the master secret, right? So that's how the master secret get generated, which is stored in their servers securely, right? And that's one of the thing about the master secret. But whereas if you talk about the tenant secret, right, that you can generate as many times you want, unlike the master secret which generates 3 times a year. Now the tenant secret works along with your master secret, which is what Salesforce call it as. I'll just write it down in a that's called key So this is called the key derivation process. So your tenant secret, right, and the master secret, they work together in a key derivation process to generate a key which you normally use to encrypt the decrypted data, right? The key which you use to unlock your safety box. So I understand it can be a bit overwhelming, but this is a pretty cool concept, right? Now that's where the James Bond concept I say, right? You just go to a safety box, get your HSM stuff, and then generate a key, right? And only one person can do it, right? And I'm not sure, if it can get hacked, or if that person get hit by a bus or something, then probably they have another person who can work as a, authorization provider for the key. Obviously, Salesforce is a big firm, right? I mean, it's unless that they get rid of every authorization provider, for whatever reason, then it's a different story. But otherwise, I think Salesforce is doing pretty good work. I mean, I don't want it to take you to the spot James Bond wall, right, where you have a bad guy wanted to, having an eye of the key, right? So, so that's pretty, too much of stuff, right? Okay, now Shield platform encryption is by default enabled for developer org, but otherwise you have to buy a license for other org, right? So I'm gonna do hands-on in the next episode, just to show you how it works, right? And we're gonna create a permissions and other stuff, right? Now I just wanted to tell you one thing, right? Salesforce, right, in general, it offers two ways to encrypt your data, okay? Just offers, sorry, this one, it offers two ways to encrypt data, right? Two ways to encrypt the data. One is called, classic encryption. My apologies, ladies and gentlemen. My handwriting sucks, and classical just for some reason reminds me of Mozart, and because these days I listen to a lot of Mozart music. So yeah, it's cool. Anyways, sorry, I digress. Now the classic encryption, right, is included in the base price of your Salesforce license. Okay, just remember that. Classic encryption is included in the base price of your Salesforce license, whereas it's not the case for Shield platform encryption. Okay, now with classic encryption, right, you can protect, your custom text field, using AES 128 key encryption, which I've demonstrated, a few minutes ago. What is that key is about? That's an advanced encryption standard key, right, which is a 128 bit. Now. With the Shield platform encryption, right, which like I said, that it's free for developer org. So if you are registering for a developer org, then Shield platform encryption will be free, right? But all other edition, right, require you to purchase a license. So you can encrypt all kind of sensitive data using Shield platform encryption. The data usually get encrypted not with 128 bit. In this case, it will be 256 bit, right? AES key, okay? And the one of the advantage I'll tell you, right, which I think is very cool, right, is Shield platform encryption allows you to search for encrypted data in the database, which is pretty cool, right? So if you wanted to search for, say, encrypted, encrypted field, you can do that, which is pretty handy. So yeah, I mean, this is pretty much I wanted to talk about in this episode, right? Because I just wanted to give you guys the context before I jump into the hands-on stuff, right? It's very important, you guys understand why we're doing the Shield platform encryption at first place, right? Like I said, it depends on your a company to company, right? Just because the Salesforce offers this technology doesn't mean that you have to just go and use it, right? If you can get by without using it, it's okay. I mean, if your compliance says that, okay, we need to encrypt every damn data, right? Like your NHI number, social security number, whatever, right? Based on the location you're from. I don't know what security aspects they have in Europe, but so you get my point, what I'm trying to say. Or credit card number in simple terms, right? If you wanted to encrypt your credit card information, along with other stuff, Shield platform encryptions is a good option. And that being said, right, so you need to go through your company regulations and compliance requirement before you decide to use any specific technology. That's pretty obvious choice, right? So that's pretty much what I wanted to talk about in this episode. So I hope you guys have an amazing Saturday. And if you're in New Zealand, I hope you are safe and, keeping, safety distance, and, I know the lockdown can be challenging, but, it's for our own good. And you can do a lot of stuff, right? During the lockdown, you can read a book, you can write, you can listen to WhatsApp music, you can, spend time with the family, to barbecues. Probably if you are always interested to brew a beer, it's the right time to learn, right? So plenty of options, right? So that being said, have a great Saturday. Adios.